Welcome to my podcast. I've never been one to shy away from taboo topics, and today is no exception. My name is Michaela. I'm a 52-year-old grandmother, and I induce lactation. I'd really like to talk about that. Okay, so you're probably thinking, wait, what is induced lactation? I'm sure that everybody's heard of lactation or breastfeeding. I mean, that's a common occurrence, right? Everybody's so, when they see moms breastfeeding their babies in public. But a lot of people don't know about induced lactation, which is the art of lactating without pregnancy, basically. And you don't have to ever have been pregnant to do it, or women in their menopause, I'm 52 and I induce lactation. So it's not, just reserved for pregnant or nursing moms. There are a lot of reasons why somebody would induce lactation. Probably the main reason is if they use a surrogate or adopt a baby and the mother or the father or both want to induce lactation to build a bond with the baby. That's the biggest reason. And there are a couple of other reasons that we'll get into in later podcasts why people induce lactation. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about myself and why I induce lactation. For most of my adult life, I've had a miserable time with my cycle. It's not something that gets talked about. So many women suffer in silence and misery. Every time I went to my doctor, he had no answer for me. I asked for surgery. He said I was too young. I asked for pain medication. He said, no, your pain isn't enough. Let's talk about that for a minute. Your pain isn't bad enough, or you really shouldn't be having pain. Why do they get to decide how I should feel? I was in a lot of pain. My cycle was painful all the time. It lasted longer than it should have. The average cycle lasts 3 to 5 days. Mine lasted 7 to 10. That's outrageous, right? But nothing seemed to be wrong. At least that's what they told me. Even when I went to the ER a few times because I seemed to be bleeding excessively and for extended time, I was told that I hadn't lost enough blood to be anemic. Go home and you'll be fine. Ugh, I cannot tell you how many times I was told, just cope and you'll be fine. So what was causing the pain? Nobody knew. I changed doctors. I had male doctors. I had female doctors. And still no one can tell me why my cycle lasted 10 days every 2 weeks and why it was so painful. Now, where do I go from here? That was my next question. Where do I go from here? I was to the point that I spent so many days in bed, unable to get up and function like a normal human. I missed out on life in general. I couldn't attend family functions. I couldn't get out of bed. I missed so much over the years. I tried so many different things. If there was something that I thought would work, I tried it, grasping at straws. Hot bath, hot pad on my abdomen, natural supplements, anything I thought would help. Nothing made me feel better. Sitting at my mom's house one day, my sister made a comment that stuck with me. She said, "Too bad you can't have a baby. It would flush all that stuff out." Wait, what? I never thought of that, but she was right. Pregnancy would flush all that crap out of my system. Unfortunately, pregnancy was not an option for me at that point. On a quest to figure this out, I was online trying to find out some information, any information that might help. Somewhere there was a woman going through all this same stuff. I knew I couldn't be the only one. Somewhere I had to find some kind of information to help me cope. That's when I stumbled upon an article about an adoptive mom who induced lactation to nurse her adopted baby. Wait, what? Is that possible? When I found the original article, it reminded me of the comment my sister had made. Would this work? Would induced lactation do the same thing as pregnancy would for my system? Then it started. I was on the hunt to find out more. I read everything I could find. I came upon the Newman-Goldfarb protocols, which are protocols established for inducing lactation. Dr. Newman and Dr. Goldfarb are both Canadian doctors. I'm not going to get into their work, but if you're interested in inducing, I highly recommend looking them up. So, armed with all this amazing information, I made an appointment with a lactation consultant. And let me tell you, she was quite surprised with what I wanted from her and all the things that I wanted to know. We had several appointments going over the span of a couple of weeks. Every time I went back to see her, I had more information to discuss. Eventually, she told me that she believed inducing lactation would do exactly what I wanted, at least temporarily. She didn't think it would work forever, but it would help for now. She showed me some basics, how to do hand expression, the proper way to pump, and all the things that you would teach a new mother. I cannot relay to you how excited I was to start this process. I did have a single advantage already. Since I had had children and breastfed them, all my plumbing was already there. No need to build up mammary glands, I just needed to wake them up. So I left my appointment that day happier than I had been in ages. I felt like there was finally a light at the end of the tunnel. I read over and over the Newman Goldfarb protocols. My consultant made some adjustments for me. I wasn't on birth control, so I didn't have to worry about that. My estrogen levels were already low, so ironically, that was a plus for inducing. On my way home that day, I stopped and bought a TENS unit for stimulating breast tissue. I went by Target and bought a manual pump. That was it. That was literally all I needed to get started. My consultant warned me not to get excited right away, that it could be a long, drawn-out process, and I may not receive results for months. I took a deep breath. Okay, I'm ready to go to the long haul on this. So that's a little bit about me and why I induced lactation. There's a lot of different reasons why people do it, but that's the reasoning that I had. Stick around for the next episode and we'll talk about the things I did, what you can do, and how to get all of this accomplished.